Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Extra Time, the U.S. Men's National Team Soccer Podcast. I am Tim. I'm joined here alongside my brother Ryan. And in this episode, we're going to talk about both the St. Kitts and Trinidad and Tobago games. We're going to discuss Ferreira making history with back-to-back hat tricks. We're going to talk about which players we think showed up and earned their spots going forward on our World Cup roster, which players blew it and have kind of fallen out of the cycle. What do we have to do to find success against Canada? What are our predictions for the rest of the group? Do we think this group can win it all? Who's the dark horse of this tournament? And a special segment coming up in the mix now that this is over as we head into extra time. Stick around. All right, Ryan, we are back, and we've only missed one episode in the interim. We didn't get a chance to touch base after the St. Kitts game, but in everybody's defense, if you watch the St. Kitts game, I really don't think it was any shock to anybody that it was a 6-0 thrashing. But I do think the surprise was that it was also a 6-0 thrashing against Trinidad and Tobago, and the other big surprise, Jesus Ferreira, back-to-back hat tricks. First player in men's history to score consecutive hat tricks in back-to-back competitive matches, and he is also the youngest player to get to double-digit goals in the first 20 games. I think it was a stat like that.
That I didn't see.
Yeah, he did it in the last game. They were talking about he was like the youngest player to do whatever. He surpassed Clint Dempsey or something like that. Anyway, Ryan, what is your take on Jesus Ferreira right now? My dogs are excited.
Yeah. So when it comes to what you want a striker to do, he's doing it. He's scoring goals, right? It doesn't matter if it's against St. Kitts and Nevis. It doesn't matter if it's against, Mexico. It doesn't matter if it's against Germany. You want your strikers to score goals. He's scoring goals. That's what he's out there to do. That's what he's been doing. So when it comes down to his recent form and how well he's been playing, I think he's been doing fine. He's putting himself in the right positions. He's making the right touches, and he's putting the ball in the back of the net, which is something he struggled with, 2-3 years ago when we watched him. Some of those chances he has scored, he would have missed. Hit at the goalie, hit over the net, to the side of the net, just missed in general.
I mean, we were at a game where he missed from inside the 6.
Correct. So it's
net,
nice to see. It's nice to see that he's got his confidence. It's nice to see that he is making himself dangerous. He's going to those dangerous spots on the field for a striker. The only thing I would have to say that I'm a little nervous about is his size and his strength off and on the ball.
Agreed. I think those are certainly things that you have to think about going forward as you evaluate. And just in general in this, when you look at the USA squad, there's a pretty stark contrast between our squad in terms of size and strength and a lot of the squads we play against. We seem to make up for it with our speed and our tenacity, and we have bigger players like Miazga and Zimmerman and Miles Robinson, Anthony Robinson. So we have some of the bigger players. But you're right. As far as strikers go, we saw Ferreira frequently getting outpaced and outmuscled to a lot of balls when it came to the previous World Cup cycle and a lot of World Cup qualifying. But one of the things that I was very impressed with in these two games, and it goes back to something you were saying, which we haven't seen before, is 2 of the goals that he scored were a trap, and before he could replant his body, he struck the ball in the net. And I cannot stress how incredibly difficult that is to do. Those are goals that we see scored from the likes of a Lionel Messi, right? And an Erling Haaland, where he trapped the ball with his right foot, and he doesn't get to put his right foot down, then put his left foot down and get some power and strike it. He's literally stepping, the ball pops up in the air, and then he's hitting it in the same motion. And it's incredibly difficult. And he did it twice, once in both of the games. To me, it doesn't matter if you're playing against St. Kitts. It doesn't matter if you're playing against Trinidad and Tobago. It doesn't matter if you're playing against England. You could have scored that goal against any of those teams because the ball got played to him in a dangerous spot. He didn't have any room, not only physically, but he also just didn't have any room to make a mistake, right? He had those 2 touches, and you're either making those 2 touches and putting the ball in the net, or you're butchering those 2 touches and the chance is squandered. And like you said, as a striker, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, and he's putting the ball in the back of the net. And with that being said, my question to you now is, where does he fall for the U.S. striker depth chart for you?
Second. He's second.
So you don't think that he's earned a spot over who? Sorry, who's your number 1 then?
So right now, my number 1 is still Florian Balogun, just because Balogun has shown that he can play at a higher competitive level consistently than Jesus Ferreira can.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, Ferreira has a chance here in these next couple of games where we play Canada.
Mm-hmm.
What can he do there? Canada's not a bad team. I know they're not playing their A squad, but still, they're a decent team. There's a shot that he plays against Mexico. What does he do there? Again, Mexico's not playing an A team, and they have struggled recently, but those are 2 teams that are very strong, both qualified for World Cups. If Ferreira can show that he can keep this form going, he has a chance that he could be fighting Balogun for that starting spot. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because competition for that starting spot breeds guys trying harder.
100%. 100%. I completely agree. So on a side note, let's take a side note and then we'll come right back to what you said. If Ferreira scores a hat trick against Canada, is that like it for history? Does anybody score 3 hat tricks in a row? Like, has anybody done it ever?
For international teams?
Like, I don't know if I've heard of anybody scoring back-to-back hat tricks in competitive matches.
Holland had, how many did he have in a row?
Oh man, that's right. You can't forget about Erling Haaland. But no, why? So, but while you're looking that up, I agree with what you're saying, and I do think that he has a legitimate chance, because as much as I like Balogun, and as much as I like his composure, and I think he's a significantly higher quality striker than Ferreira, it's going to be really hard to compete with Ferreira's numbers if Ferreira does something like put up a goal and an assist against Canada, and then score 2 goals against, let's assume, Panama in the semifinals, and then score goals against Mexico, or at this point maybe even a Guatemala in the final. If Ferreira finishes the rest of the cycle with 3 to 5 more goals, you're going to be sitting here wondering, like, I wouldn't be shocked at that point if, when the friendlies rolled around in the fall, Balogun was coming off the bench and Ferreira was starting. Because if you got a guy...
Here's my question to you then. If Balogun was playing, does he also have a hat trick?
That's a fair question, and honestly, when we were messaging back and forth during the games, that was the first sort of like cynical thought that I had to them going, "Oh, Jesus Ferreira's done this thing." I was like, "Look, anybody we put in that position was scoring those goals, right?"
Would they? Because
now, maybe not his 2 that I gave him credit for. So I'll back up for a second. The 2 that I thought were just beautiful goals, those like quick touches. So I'll reword what I said. I do think that we would have had. I think there's a cat on my piano. We would have had any player get those back-to-back hat tricks. I think Ferreira, if he's in that position, scores at least 6 goals. Because our 6 goals against Trinidad and Tobago, I was of the mindset 30 minutes into the St. Kitts game, it should have been 10 or more goals. Like, I don't see a reason why you let off the gas pedal. I don't see any reason why you don't just absolutely like that, because there aren't games like this in U.S. soccer history, let alone for your C squad. But
so my only thing is, you don't, as much as I would like to believe Balogun scores those goals, he's a different player. He goes to different areas on the field. Balogun likes the through balls. Balogun likes to position himself in front of guys and use his size and his muscle to push guys off the ball.
Mm-hmm,
That's a different style than Jesus Ferreira. So he might not score in those games because the way we attacked didn't favor that type of game.
I mean, maybe. I just think you're out of your mind if you don't think that Ferreira, who's both of our number ones and a significantly more quality striker, isn't putting the ball in the back of the net against those
Saying
guys.
he's not. I'm not saying he's not, and I'm not saying our strategy doesn't change if he's on the field. I'm just saying they play a little bit different of a striking attack strike.
That's fair.
Force.
That's fair. All right, so when you break up these two games and you look at St. Kitts and you look at Trinidad and Tobago, right? Obviously, the first half of the Gold Cup is over. It's now like knockout time.
Yep.
You're the coach for the U.S. men's national team, right? And not even the head coach. You're just part of the coaching squad. And you guys are sitting down in the locker room, and you're having your post-game meetings, and somebody looks at you and says, all right, which one of these guys in our camp do you think has proven that he's worth putting in this other pool? He's worth considering for the 2026 World Cup. Has anybody shown up for you that makes you think, you know what, I think this guy's got something special and I want to keep him?
So for defense, I think Neil has shown that he is very strong in the back. I do like him. He definitely has, to me at least, proven that he should be getting a chance to play maybe a little bit higher level. And even if it's just, 20 minutes a game, get him out there, get him some time, let him play.
Mm-hmm.
Midfield, I'm going to say it, as I said, a year and a half ago when we started this, Gianluca Buzio. Hands down. During the St. Kitts and Nevis game, he assists 2, has the secondary assist if you're playing hockey on 2 more. Right? That's huge.
That's a goal in the Trinidad and Tobago game.
Correct. So, I definitely believe he should be in there. As it goes for strikers, Vargas, I believe.
Vasquez.
Sorry, yes, Brandon Vasquez.
I was like, Jamie Vargas.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
Vasquez.
Brandon Vasquez, yep.
Yep, and Jesus Ferreira. Zendejas has not shown that he's done much.
Zendejas played poor. We'll get to that because we're going to talk about that in a second. He did play poor.
What is it, Jorday?
Yeah, Georgi Mihailovic.
Yes, I think he could also probably fall into that pool of let's see how he performs a little higher. Even Cade Cowell, for as little as he played, has impressed me.
Yeah, so I'll start with Cade because I watched and I know you did too. I watched that U20 World Cup, and I know that he was a powerhouse in that. I just haven't been impressed. And maybe it's because I already have a bias for who he was before, and I know the guy's young, and I know he's still got room to grow. For me, and he impressed Dad. He's impressed some of our friends. He's just not selling me on this. I'm not writing him off by any means because he had some, the goal he scored was quality, and he makes dangerous runs, and he has a good head on his shoulders to understand the game. I just don't think he's putting it all together at the moment, right? I think certain games he shows different skill levels and qualities. He just needs to get it all together, and I don't know that can be done. Ferreira seems to go without saying. Vasquez kind of goes without saying just because he's proven he can be a dangerous striker off the bench, and I don't really think there's anything wrong with the United States having 4 strikers to see who's competing, especially since we're not sure if we're going to play 2 strikers up front or we're going to stay with our 3-2-1 or whatever we're playing. I can get behind Mihailovic because I think he's somebody who consistently did the things he needed to do. I did like James Neal, and I liked John Tolkien. Those were guys that I thought to myself,
Tolkien I did like as well.
This is where we have to be. And then but I would have kept Buzio up there because I like Buzio from beforehand. And one of the things that I do think kind of hurt him is it took him a little bit longer than I was expecting to get into the game. Once he got into the game, he was very dangerous. You heard the commentators making comments right and left. He was getting involved in the attack. He was playing dangerous balls. And I say that as having watched him last year in the Gold Cup and the Nations League and seeing the quality that he had for the passes, right? He played dangerous balls up the field. He had a great eye, and he got other players involved. I was surprised that it took him as long as it did to really become a dangerous threat on the field. But that being said,
he's coming off a fitness issue. So he was hurt and he wasn't really playing at all which is why that first game he came in, he only played 50 minutes
Sure. Okay.
because they weren't sure he was going to be able to play the whole game.
Right, and that makes sense. But all that being said, once he did get himself in the game, I thought he was very dangerous, and I thought he was one of the more quality players that we had in the attack, especially since I didn't think he was playing a role on the field that he had played last year, right? He was kind of playing like a hybrid role. He needed to do a little bit more defensive roles and responsibilities, and then get himself involved in the attack in a non-distributing position, right? Because last time we saw Buzio, he did a lot of distributing, and he tried to hit shots that he just didn't have the strength and coordination for. This time, we saw Buzio make that deep run and get that assist coming off the back. That's not something we'd seen from him before, so I like to see that his game is developing, and I'm hoping this time all of the haters get off of his back, because he's a player who I think will probably be on the bench for the 2026 World Cup, and I think for the 2030 World Cup, we'll see significant playing time for us. All right, so now the flip side of this. Are there anybody on this roster that you think, you know what, that's it. After the Gold Cup, just go back to your club and deal with yourself. You're probably not getting another call up. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, there's 3 I can think of off the top of my head. I bet you can guess 2 of them.
Okay, let me think. Players.
I'll give you a hint. One's a defender, one's a striker.
Okay, so the left back, whatever that dude's name is, Jones, John, he was terrible.
He had green hair.
I don't know. Oh, gosh. Are we still talking about this guy? We're still talking about DeAndre Yedlin?
Yep.
Oh, my goodness.
And Christian Roldan
Well,
was
okay,
absolutely abysmal.
He was awful. He was absolutely
abysmal.
awful. Just absolute trash.
I also do not like Miazga.
I'm not a fan of Matt Miazga either.
I don't think he played well. And then, who was the other midfielder there? I can't remember what his name was
Aiden
now.
Morris or James Sands or Alan Senora.
That one, Senora. I also don't think Jordan Morris should be on the team.
Right, but okay. So, okay, yeah, those are all fair. So if I exclude the guys that just shouldn't have a shot anyway, right? Like if we get rid of a Jordan Morris because I just don't think he's coming. He really has no right to. And we get rid of the Christian Roldan because again, come on, you're mad old. You're not part of this, right? We get rid of the DeAndre Yedlin. Sorry, before I think Brian Reynolds earned a spot for me to continue going forward.
Yeah.
Playing right back.
Yeah,
I
could
really
agree with
like
that.
Brian Reynolds. I thought Brian Reynolds played very well. Guys that just no, there's no shot. Like I think it's over. DeJuan Jones. No.
I don't even remember him.
Right.
That's how little of an impact he had.
The left back.
That was DeAndre Yedlin.
No. The left back. DeJuan Jones.
Yeah. Yeah,
Nope,
but that's also DeAndre Yedlin.
It's not. Plays the right back. The right back was DeAndre Yedlin. DeJuan Jones did struggle defensively with responsibilities.
sorry.
Yep. Struggled defensively with responsibilities. Horrible balls. Didn't really have any kind of awareness. Like every time he got the ball, I just kind of had eye roll moments. Like I don't understand what was going on, and he just was clear he was out of his league. Right? Like, I think that when he plays in the MLS, he's probably a mediocre MLS player. And that, to me, is just no, sorry, buddy. That's just not going to fly for us. You just don't have a chance. The other players that, to me, were just kind of meh. James Sands really just wasn't.
He played poorly, but he didn't really do anything.
No, I know. But I'm just saying, for me, that was a no, adios.
Okay.
There's just no chance. Those are probably the only 2. I wasn't a fan. Okay, and Aiden Morris, no, not a fan. Not a fan of Miazga. So that kind of leaves us to the middle ground, and I think Matt Miazga, my gut is telling me no, you don't really have a chance, and I don't really want to see you do it. But you just kind of played meh, you're a mediocre, so it's probably fine.
The only goal that's been scored on us so far is his fault. So
well, And then if I had to tell you one player I was most disappointed with, it was Zendejas. Because I hyped this dude up. Like everybody knows. If you've been watching, I hyped this dude up. Awful. Like a young, reckless Musa. Too many touches. Horrible balls. Not tracking back defensively. And it was so uncharacteristic of the player that had all the confidence going, in the earlier games. And the earlier games, he was playing against better teams. Like, you're playing against St. Kitts and Trinidad, and you can't keep the ball at your feet. You're playing hospital balls to your teammates. You're not, just no. It was a hard no for me. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if he's just, out of shape, out of club form, whatever it is. Just no. Just absolutely no. Not a chance. I don't know. All right. Going forward, we are going to be playing against Canada. Okay? We're going to be playing against Canada this Sunday, my friend. What do we need to do to see success against this Canadian side, given that this Canadian side is a side that has been struggling in this Gold Cup, right? And I understand everybody's playing a bunch of B and C teams, but the United States played their C squad and got a 1-1 draw, a 6-0 win, a 6-0 win. Canada played their squad and they tied Guatemala in a struggle.
Also tied Guadeloupe.
So,
but then they absolutely buried the last game.
They did. It was Cuba or something. But they still conceded 2 goals.
Yeah.
Right, whereas the United States conceded a single goal. And it was to Jamaica, right? If we're looking at the teams, that Jamaica's a good side. Right? There are a lot of people that, that are...
I would say Guatemala's a good side. They won their group.
No, I think that Guatemala is a good side, having watched them. Right, but I'm looking at all of CONCACAF, right? And when you think about Jamaica probably playing a B team, us probably playing a C team, Canada and Mexico probably playing B teams. I can't see a Guatemala showing up with a B team in this. St. Kitts didn't show up with a B team, right? There are just certain nations that aren't
correct
because
they don't have the players.
Well, and this is come on, you're not going to the World Cup, so you might as well give it all.
They don't have the players,
right? In some of these tournaments. So all that being said, what does the United States have to do to see success against Canada?
Be ready for their speed. Don't take nasty challenges in the box when you don't need to. Play simple balls and stick to the game plan they've been playing against all the other teams. It seems to work. We break down defense. We get those nice balls inside the 18 to Jesus Ferreira, Cade Cowell, Vasquez, Buzio, you name it. Just look for the balls we've been playing that we've been scoring on and just play smart. Canada's got speed. Even their, CB team is still good. Oilet's still playing. Larea is still playing. Right? So they're not a bad team. So you have to be ready for the speed and the skill level and the composure that Canada's going to come out with. Because, we did just beat them in the Nations League final. So they're got something to play for.
They do have something to play for. And if I had to give any advice to these young guys, it's that you have to come out with a sense of confidence and you have to set the tone early, right? Because what we've seen in our squad, especially in the Jamaica game, was indecision and indecisiveness, right? You have these younger guys, especially in our midfield, that they haven't convinced themselves that the decisions they're making are the correct decisions. And so we see lots of situations where those simple balls don't get played, or they hesitate and they underhit them, and they second guess themselves. Canada is a team that has shown, especially in the last 5 years, that they research us, they understand how to play against us, and their coach always has a game plan and they stick to it. That is going to be very difficult for any side to play against, let alone a side that comes out and doesn't have any confidence. I think if we're going to beat Canada, we're going to need to come out. We're going to need to show that we are composed. We are going to need to possess the ball and develop quality chances along the flanks, which we've been developing all the time, and we have to get Ferreira involved, right? So Ferreira is going to be a huge piece to this because he's been so dangerous. I think the players on the field have the confidence to get him the ball. We need to get a couple goals early in the first half, and we need to put this game to bed before halftime, because if Canada has any kind of tempo going into halftime, I'm not saying it's locked up. I still think we can win the game in the second half. We're a strong team. We're a deep team. I think we need to put the game to bed before halftime if we want to give our players the best chance of success.
Fair.
You don't disagree with me. Interesting. All right, so what about the rest of the groups then? So the United States is going to play Canada. Right?
Yep.
We got the rest of the bracket though. We're going to run down. Let's get some predictions here. So, going forward, what do we got?
Jamaica.
Is it are they playing what is it? Panama?
Guatemala.
Okay. So, who do you got in that game?
Jamaica.
All right. Ryan, you got Jamaica over Guatemala. You got a score prediction?
3-1.
All right. Jamaica over Guatemala 3-1. Panama, Qatar.
Qatar.
I got Panama.
No.
I'm just going to throw it out there. I just don't.
The game's already rigged.
I just think Qatar's not that great of a side. Mexico, Costa Rica.
No. Qatar wins because they were invited, so they have to make at least the semis.
This man with his conspiracy theories, folks.
You cannot tell me, after how poorly Qatar played in their first 2 games and how great Mexico played, that Qatar beats Mexico 1-0 to get out of that group.
You know what? These guys got some wild conspiracy theories. And you know what, Ryan? The only way that you're going to know if that conspiracy theory is true is if you guys like this video and you hit the subscribe button so you can see all of our content so that you can see future videos to see if Ryan's conspiracy theory about Qatar is right. So go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Keep you tuned in to all of the videos that we post on this channel and all this great content going forward. Because you know it's quality content because there's only one place to head into extra time, and that's right here. That's my shameless plug for ourselves. Ryan, Mexico, Costa Rica. You loved it. That was so effortless and just flying
Mexico.
right through it. You got Mexico. You think Mexico's gonna get it together? They're gonna pull everything out. You think their game against Qatar was a fluke? You think they staged the whole thing?
Yep. And I think you'll see that when Mexico plays Qatar in the semifinals.
You think that Mexico's gonna roll over and die again, or do you think Mexico's gonna bring their A game?
No, Mexico's gonna beat them like 5-0.
Okay, so Mexico's bringing their A game. They're like, hey.
And then the U.S. will play Jamaica again. No, that's not how it would work. We play Qatar, right?
USA is going to play Canada. No, I feel like we're playing. I feel like we would play. Yes, we would play. Yeah.
We play Qatar.
Qatar because we have a chance to
Jamaica's
reface
on the
Mexico.
other side.
Yes.
Yeah. So the U.S. I believe beats Qatar, and I believe Mexico beats Jamaica, and I believe it's U.S.-Mexico final, and the U.S. wins 2-1, extra time. Comment extra time.
Okay, so we got Qatar, Jamaica. Wait, you just did all of them?
Just did all of them.
You ruined everything for me. Okay, so I agree with Jamaica. I think it's going to be Panama.
Okay.
As much as I think Mexico's falling apart, is Costa Rica the Ticos? Is that what they call themselves? The Ticos? I don't know. I just don't think. I mean, that game's going to be close. I don't know. I don't think they have what it takes. I'm hoping Mexico can pull it together because otherwise, look, if Mexico doesn't beat Costa Rica, if Mexico doesn't make the finals to this Gold Cup, it's going to be anarchy in the Mexico Federation.
Here's the problem.
Club.
If Mexico makes the finals and the U.S. starts to blow them out, we're going to have a disaster on our hands. Just watching the Guatemala-Guadalupe game already lets me know that if the U.S. plays Mexico in the finals and the U.S. is burying them 2-0, 3-0, the game is going to turn into a disaster because the Mexican fans have had it. They have had it.
Well, okay, so I guess let's go into this because it's one of the things, and I mean, I even tried to come up with a segment for this, but when Ryan and I were talking about it, we realized it's just going to be the same thing over and over, and nobody wants to hear the same thing over and over. And unless the segment is going to be, here we go again, it's not worth having the segment in. So I'm just going to say for one time, here we go again. I'm so tired of CONCACAF not having a lid on any of their games. And my only hope is that because it's in the United States, somehow, some kind of leverage and flexibility can get used because this is outrageous. That stadium was entirely Guatemala fans. There is garbage being thrown on the field. There are fans coming out of the field.
It was mostly empty, too, if you actually looked at it. It held like 40-something thousand, there was 22.
Right, the lower deck was crammed, and then everything else was basically it. And it's just like I got people messaging me, during the game that are just like, when is CONCACAF going to figure this out?
They're not. We're not going to figure it out until we go and get referees from other leagues, better leagues.
But do you even think at this point that it's just a refereeing thing? Because in the time span, but in the time span that we've done this podcast, right? It's been over a year now. We have covered 3 separate instances where in where in Central American soccer games, somebody was killed. Right? I'm not talking about just the quality of the games with the refereeing. I'm talking about if the Guatemalan fans, because at some point it got ugly, and you were worried about calls and you were worried the game was going to go the other way. If the Guatemalan fans had decided to do something, that security wasn't going to be able to do anything. They couldn't even get that guy off the field. Right? And so at what point does CONCACAF have to start doing some legitimate screening? Because the Mexico fans making a chant, no one's physically getting injured. You know what I mean? Like when the Mexico fans throw garbage onto the field, right? People might get injured, right? When we saw the trash getting thrown onto the field and stuff, we might see players. But as far as chants go, chants are like, look, at least no one's getting hurt. We're going to condemn it. We're going to do whatever, but we can move it. At what point do you think CONCACAF's got to step in and do something because of that very real risk that something happens, a player gets injured, whatever, and it's being broadcast, in the United States? It's going to make international news.
The games don't get out of hand. The rivalry isn't portrayed as this massive bloodbath, bloodshed. The fans don't do what they do because there's no need for it. If it's a rivalry but it's civilized, the fans tend to be civilized. When you let the players just go hog wild because the refereeing is non-existent in the games, the fans get riled up. They see their players going at it. They want to go at it. Garbage gets thrown, people start fighting, a stadium collapses and half of Europe dies, stuff like that.
So you're saying the solution is the referee is there to set the tone to show respect for the rivalry. Right? We can have a rivalry, but it's going to be done with respect and dignity.
Correct. And I think that I don't want to take anything away from the rivalry. I think it's great for the sport. The games sell out, which is great. Right? It's promoting soccer in the United States, which we need. I love that. I don't love that it leaves a bad taste in my mouth after the game is over because, wow, we played Mexico again. There were, 17 yellow cards and 3 red cards and 16 fights during the game.
Well, and you saw that there were more red cards in the Mexico games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's I don't understand how it's not on here because there was a red card in that game.
No. It was Qatar playing, or no, it was Guadalupe, Guatemala.
That one, yes, there was a red card, but there was another red card in a Mexico game.
No, not yet.
So I watched it. Man,
no,
I guess I didn't.
No. There was the double yellow, but then it was overturned because it wasn't actually a foul.
Okay.
So he took it away.
Okay. That must be what I missed.
Because I was thinking about that. But you also have to think Mexico doesn't have those players on the field for these games. Right? Like the guys that instigate, the guys that play dirty, they're not out there right now. The majority of them. There are still some, but the majority of them are not out there. If you want to talk about a team that was struggling with fouls, look at Qatar. They have 6 players suspended for the quarterfinals.
They do.
game.
Yeah, that's a good point. They had a lot of guys suspended. I mean, they really could not keep a lid up. But again, you're playing Mexico. How many players in that Mexico game got a yellow card and now it's like, sorry, you're not playing in the quarterfinals? And Qatar's team's not that deep. That's the other reason why I just don't think Qatar's going to sneak past Panama. I just don't think they got a chance. But so who's the dark horse then? Right?
Jamaica.
That's fair. I think for most of the media hype, it's been Jamaica.
I think you can go all the way back to our World Cup qualifying podcasts, and I think you will hear me say the exact same thing, that Jamaica is the dark horse.
I agree.
And I still believe that they are very good. They are very fit. They have 3 or 4 very good players on the field. You need to be careful.
Yep, and the media was really hyping them up too. they've had a really strong fan base, and they're starting to get into their kind of golden generation with young talent. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was them as well.
Low is very good. Their defender there. Who's their one striker there? He plays in the Premier League. I can't come up with his name now.
Damarian Gray.
No. Oh shoot.
Mikhail Antonio.
Yeah, thank you. Right. So you've got
they
these
got quality
guys
talent.
Like
They got
correct.
quality talent.
So they're not bad. I would definitely be worried if I was Guatemala. I know Guatemala has played very well. You know, they tied Canada. They beat Cuba, and then they beat Guadeloupe.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you that's a good. You know, you don't lose a game in your group. That's huge, right? So it will be interesting. I think Guadeloupe, Jamaica, and the U.S. were the only teams to not lose a game in their group. Or did Panama not lose? Panama might not have lost either. But like, that's not easy to do. So, I think teams need to be a little cautious of Jamaica. I think they have showed they came to play. And it would be nice to see a rematch of U.S. Jamaica in the final. I think that would be a very awesome game to watch.
I agree. It would be awesome, and it's good for CONCACAF, and it's good for the sport, and it's good for MLS soccer. Right, everything that's American soccer is benefiting from games like this, seeing the viewership, the sponsorship, all those things. And I do believe it's a huge benefit for this tournament to be played in the United States. And when we play the Copa America in the United States, it's going to be a huge benefit as well. All right, Ryan, are you ready to get into something? We're going to try a new segment here on Extra Time, and it's going to be just you. It's supposed to be you and Chris. And the name of the segment is called From the Spot.
I'm taking PKs.
And then from the spot, I'm going to ask you questions that are basically going to be one or the other. They're going to be one-sided questions. They're just going to have one answer. It's not going to need any kind of an explanation. You are just going to go ahead and answer them. Are you ready? And it's not going to be super rapid fire. We're going to take a second and we'll read them out. So.
Yeah.
Okay. The first question. You're the coach for the USA men's national team. Would you rather have the best striker in the world or the best goalie in the world?
I mean, you're asking a goalie. You can't lose if you don't get scored on. Right? Even if you don't score a goal, eventually it'll go to penalties. And if your goalie is better, in theory, you should win. Because you're banking on your goalie to make 2 saves in a shootout. That normally wins you a shootout. So I believe I would rather have a better goalie, the best goalie in the world.
Okay. Next question. Would you rather the United States this is interesting, goes to the 2026 World Cup and wears the 1994 denim jerseys?
I don't know what those look like.
Okay. You look those up.
Hang on.
Look up the 1994 denim jerseys. Or would you rather they wear their current white jerseys?
Can I say the Where's Waldo jersey? The regular. I'd rather them wear the white jerseys, only because when I googled when I googled the 1994 denim jerseys, the first picture is of Alexi Lawless,
of course
and
it is.
The end.
Yeah,
that killed those jerseys for me.
He was the poster boy for all of those.
No,
things.
so just the white jerseys is fine. I don't need anything that reminds me of Alexi Lawless.
Okay, speaking of Alexi Lawless, you just got signed up to be a commentator alongside one of the following players. Would you rather be a commentator for a game alongside Taylor Twellman or Alexi Lawless?
Oh my God. I'll take Taylor Twellman.
Taylor Twellman it is. All right, we got
mostly because I can stand his voice.
True. That's fair. All right, we got 2 more questions for you.
All right.
On the current U.S. men's roster, if you could only pick one player to guarantee they would
The
nope,
Gold Cup roster or
the
just
current
any U.S. men's?
the current. Okay, so let's go with the previous World Cup roster, right?
Okay, previous World Cup roster.
So all the active players that are playing right now. Let's do it that way. So out of the current set of active players playing for the U.S. men's national team, which one player do you believe you can put into the Hall of Fame and they automatically get into the National Soccer Hall of Fame? Which is the one active player right now that you would say he's in?
Matt Turner.
I like that. That was a player that had crossed my mind too.
It was close between him and Tyler Adams.
That's true. Those are both really good calls. Okay.
I mean, Christian Pulisic is most likely getting in there just for what he's done for U.S. soccer, but I tried to go with somebody that might not be a lock-in that I would like to see in there.
That's fair. I think that's an appropriate way to answer the question. Which player on the current set of active players, okay, is going to play the longest?
Probably Brendan Aronson.
Ooh. Okay. Sorry, I got a couple more for you. You answered these really fast. Okay, which player?
That's fine. Can I give you one when we're done here?
Yeah, absolutely. Which player out of the current set of players, which player is most likely to coach the U.S. men's national team?
Ooh. I'm gonna go with Walker Zimmerman.
Ooh. Okay. All right. And so then last question for you, and you can turn over
to Weston.
You think Weston McKennie would be a coach?
I think Weston McKennie's energy would be great as a head coach.
You know who
He'd probably get thrown out of a lot of games.
Yeah, Weston
but
McKennie.
He'd have the energy for a coach.
Okay, so hold on. Weston McKennie, to me, is John Tortorella.
Yes,
in the
exactly.
NHL. Yeah.
He's exactly, yes.
He either would be the best coach that U.S. Soccer had ever had, or he would get fired in 6 months.
Yes, he is. He would be as animated as Pep Guardiola on the sideline.
100%. Okay, last question. The United States, CONCACAF gets completely eliminated, and the United States has to move to another qualifying confederation. Would you rather see the United States move to South American Confederation or the European Confederation?
European, because there's more quality closer together than just a few teams that are much better than the rest.
Okay.
All right, Tim.
That's it. Those are the questions that I got.
Here's your question.
All right.
You have to pick 3 midfielders to play for your midfield, and your choices are Kellen Acosta, Christian Roldan, Michael Bradley, Clint Dempsey, Taylor Twellman, and Alexi Lawless. Which 3 are you starting? And you can say all of them are in their prime, not the age they are now.
I'm so glad you didn't say Ricardo Clark, because I would have slapped you.
I was going to say Freddie Adu, but nobody knows where he went.
It's nobody. I'm not even sure he was ever a real person. He's actually probably an alien from Men in Black, and we just shipped him back to wherever he came from.
So there's your 6. You got 6 midfielders to choose from. Right. You got to pick 3 of them.
Kellen Acosta.
All
right. Gosh, I just blanked. Clint Dempsey.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna wind up. I hate that I'm gonna have to do this, but I'm gonna. I can't bring myself to pick Michael Bradley. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. But my choices are Christian Roldan or Alexi Lawless, and I don't have any idea how Alexi Lawless played, and I've seen Christian Roldan play. I would just go with, I don't know, Christian Roldan for the vibes, man.
Man.
I don't know. I just can't. I don't think in good faith I could put Michael Bradley back on any roster.
All right. How about let's take out Christian Roldan and put in Paul Arriola. Do you still take do you still take Paul Arriola?
No, I'm probably taking Oh my gosh. No, I am going to play Paul Arriola because at least he's tenacious out on the wing.
All right.
I'd probably play Dempsey out on the left. I would play Acosta in the middle, I would play Arriola out on the right.
Kellen Acosta in the midfield, like in the middle.
Dead center.
The winging midfielder.
Dead center. Yeah, we played him as a 6 before. It was fine.
All right.
It wasn't great. It wasn't fine. All right. We got whatever.
I don't know if I've got another one for you. Yeah, I do. Out of all of the guys rostered right now, which guy do you think is playing in not his strongest position?
Ooh.
So do you believe there is a player out there that is playing somewhere where they shouldn't actually be playing? And I'm going to take Christian Pulisic off of the table because he should be a midfielder.
Question. That's a really good
my
question.
opinion.
Yeah, because my first thought was going to be, I don't think Christian's playing where he's supposed to be playing. Dang.
So we'll take him off there. Is there a guy on the roster for Gold Cup that has played, for when we played in the World Cup, when we played in the Nations League? Is there a guy out there that you thought, man, this guy's good, but he'd be way better if he was in this position?
That's a really good question. Let me look at the roster again. What are the guys that we have?
And I had one, but it doesn't really change his position. I think Tim Weah would be better as our central striker than a winger just because of his speed.
He's the only other player that I thought of too, but that was like before Balogun. Because now that Balogun's in the mix, I'm like, but I almost want to switch to play a 2-striker system. Like he's somebody that I thought could go about it that way. Man. All right, I will say this. I think that the position that we had Alex Zendejas playing in was the wrong position. So
for him?
I'll go back to what I was saying about him. I think that Alex Zendejas is not a player that needed to be in that position. I think he should have been playing as a false 9, hanging just underneath Ferreira and having the ball just like play to him at his feet. He typically got the ball and had to turn and attack other guys and hit passes, and I just don't think that was his strong suit. In the previous sets of games we saw him, he hung out more around the box and kind of played as like a 10, and I think that worked for him better.
There you go.
But we've done some outrageous stuff. A player that I actually, you know what? A player that I really would enjoy seeing somewhere else. I would love to see Serginho Dest play as a midfielder.
Okay.
Like I would love to have Serginho Dest playing in front of Scully.
All right,
Scally, sorry.
So now here's my next question. Which player do you think is playing in their position but would benefit the U.S. to not be playing in that position and playing somewhere else? And as you said, Serginho Dest you think should be a midfielder. But now let's say, because you don't think he should be a defender. So is there somebody out there that is in the position they should be, but it would benefit the U.S. as a team for them to be somewhere else? Like, would it benefit the U.S. for, let's say, Miles Robinson to be a defensive midfielder?
I think Giovanni Reyna.
So right now he's a midfielder?
Well, it's like we play him centrally, and I just don't think that's where
he should be a wing?
Yeah, I just don't think that's where we want him. And I've thought the same thing with like Ferreira. Like I just always feel like Ferreira isn't great as like our target forward just because of his size and his strength. But
okay, no, that's fair. Those are my would you rather.
When we played Yunus Musa as a central defensive midfielder, no, I think he's a fine midfielder. But when we played him as a central, when we played Brendan Aronson as a central midfielder, like, and I mean central is in like the middle of the field, not anywhere. Just he played dead center. I just thought those were all wrong.
All right, Tim, you get one number 9. I got one more for you. Mm-hmm. Your choices are Wondolowski, Yossi Zardes, Josie Altidore, or Alexi Lalas.
Why is it Alexi Lalas? This poor dude's gonna watch this. He's gonna be like, "Why did you want to put me up front? Why are you hating on me?" I'm gonna go.
All right, fine. All right, we'll take him out of there then and put Freddie Adu.
I'm gonna go with Josie Altidore.
All right. That's probably who I would pick.
Josie Zardes performed better, I think, overall. But that very last little glimpse we had of Josie Altidore before he blew his hamstring out in that last game, He was finally a striker that I was like, I've been waiting for you to play like this your whole career.
You're not taking Wondolowski?
No.
Oh, that seems fair.
Not unless I want to score 0 goals in the group stage. I mean, honestly, if I put Wondolowski as a striker, I'd have a lot more stuff to talk about, and I'd be able to generate more content. It would just all be rage clickbait, because that's all I would do is just scream all the time.
Look where this player missed from. Number 6 will shock you.
Yeah, dude's just absolutely insufferable.
All right, there you go. There's mine.
There it is. Well, you know what? Next time, I kind of like this segment, so next time there will be some more.
We'll try to cover some more.
Yep, and we're going to keep this as a segment. I think, we're going to keep from the spot. I kind of like this, asking some, just off-the-cuff, gut reaction questions to things that are happening in U.S. soccer. I think it's fun. It gives us a chance for you and I to just kind of joke around and stuff and just get to have some fun and just, just relax and chat. So, hey, if you guys got anything you want to know the answers to from the spot, leave them down below if you're going to hear it. If you got any questions for us, like this video, please subscribe to this channel, all that good stuff. It helps us grow. It helps us reach more people, helps us out with that algorithm. We're really trying to get ourselves up and growing in this community. We'd love to hear from you guys. We appreciate all of the views. We will catch you guys early in the next week after the United States plays against Canada. And once the Gold Cup wraps up, we are going to be diving right into the Women's World Cup. We're going to be bringing you episodes of our predictions because we've been starting to talk about those things. And just getting excited to cheer the women on to see if we can win 3 consecutive World Cups. We'll catch you guys on Sunday.